Take that. Well, something for you not to forget is an event coming up this week in Marlow. So, Damian, what are you doing as a public event?
So I've got a course that is called The Will to Act.
Which, Will to Act.
The
right.
Will to Act, which is fits in quite nicely with what we're going to talk about next. Your story is incredible, isn't it? I mean,
Thank you.
but yeah, The Will to Act is happening on Thursday at Liston Hall in Marlow. 9:30 start and 3:30 finish, just so that people can get the kids to school and pick them up in time. So I thought it's quite canny timings. It's a one-day event where basically
what was the date again?
On Thursday, the 18th.
This Thursday.
This Thursday coming.
2 days time.
2 days time.
So it's all day long, 9:30 till 3:30.
Yeah.
Not all day long, but most of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it's pretty intensive, full-day course going into the understanding behind how our thinking operates. For a full day, and the website is thewilltoact.com with the number 2, thewilltoact.com, and you can get tickets still available.
It's The Will to Act.
Thewilltoact.com. Yeah.
.com, right? Okay.
And tickets are still available. So.
Right. Okay. Good. And is it just yourself, or will you be having guests along there?
No, just myself.
And you'll be explaining the power that people have to turn their life more successfully, perhaps by doing and thinking less, don't they say?
Well, it's showing people the mechanics of how their thinking operates. So what I talk about is not prescriptive in any way, it's descriptive. It's kind of like describing, how gravity works. It's not going to stop you tripping over rocks when you trip over rocks. Just knowing how gravity works isn't going to stop you doing that.
Yeah.
So, but it's understanding where our experience is actually coming from. It's coming from our thinking in the moment, as opposed to our circumstances. Because it's so easy to think that something happens in the outside world. We get a feeling attached to that circumstance. We think it's coming from the circumstance, but it can only ever be coming from our thinking about that circumstance.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I've heard said a number of times, and I'm a big believer in the fact that you have no control over what people say to you, no control over what people do to you, but you do have control about how you react to that and how you feel as a result of that.
Yeah, and it's not even actually a control thing. It's just about seeing how it works, because you're not actually in control of the thinking that comes into your head. Right? You don't get to choose what your next thought is.
Yeah.
But you do get to choose how you respond to that thinking. Yes, so again, understanding that it's coming from me as opposed to my circumstances kind of changes the ability for me to respond to that thing. Because if I think my happiness is coming from the outside world, I'm going to do everything I can to try and change the outside world.
Yeah.
Right, which is why, by the way, when you see
to change the driver, to change the thing that's causing your current situation.
Absolutely, which is why you see so many famous rich people in rehab, because they're thinking, but I had everything and I'm still unhappy. What's going on there? It's because you used the wrong model. It's that it never came from the outside in. It's only ever comes from the inside out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question, because I think your story is incredible.
Oh gosh, okay, let's swap seats virtually.
Swap seats, because the world champion.
I am a world champion.
A world champion, but obese at the age 50, 18 stone.
That's right, yeah.
And said, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore.
Your research is correct, yeah. When I was 50, which is 10 years ago, I was 18 stone.
Are you 60 now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you really don't look it.
Oh, thank you.
I was thinking you only just kind of made it into the 50 bracket for me.
Oh, what a fan.
Hold on. This is for my Facebook Livers. I'm just going to show you what I mean.
Okay, there you go. Hi, guys.
Does he look 60? No, he doesn't.
There you go.
He does not look 60 at all.
Oh my God. When I was 50, which is 10 years ago, I was 18.5 stone and technically obese. Not morbidly obese, but technically obese. But I had lots of nasty things wrong with me medically. Well, not so much wrong, but indicators that were heading in the wrong direction. So I had very high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic with high blood sugars. I had high blood lipids with lots of high levels of nasty cholesterol. I had no aerobic capacity, no VO2 max.
Oh my God.
So I was lots of indicators that suggested
you were on your way out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If I wasn't careful, I'd be pushing up the daisies in a few years' time. So I mean, I didn't think I was going to immediately keel over with a heart attack or with a bad stroke, but I did think that my life wasn't going to be as enjoyable as it could be. So I decided to probably take some of the principles that you have in your book and what you're going to be talking about on Thursday, I think, decided to rewrite my life, to adjust the priorities in my life. So, and I made eating burgers and fish and chips and curry less of a priority. I made going out and getting totally drunk. Is there something else? And getting totally drunk on a regular
family show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I made that less of a priority, although I still do go out for drinks, of course, and still did then as well. And I started getting exercise into my life. I'd done absolutely no exercise at all since school, which was like 42 years, no, 32 years earlier.
Yeah.
So I changed it around, and within a couple of years I lost a lot of weight, and with a couple more years I put on a little bit of muscle too.
Yeah.
And at that stage a friend of mine who was a personal trainer said I should become a personal trainer and start promoting my views to other people, which I've done. And then he said I should go on stage and be a fitness competitor in a fitness modelling competition, which I did a couple of, and eventually after 3 goes I became the world champion. I mean, British champion first, and then the world champion fitness model for the over 50s age group, I hasten to add. For the under 50s, of course, it's a much more aggressive, competitive field.
Yeah.
You go to the under 20s or the 20 to 25 year olds, and they're all queuing up to be the next model for Calvin Klein, for example, next style model, the underwear model. This is the fitness model look, is the advert, the underwear model advert. Both boys and girls, they're all kind of queuing up to get that, and there are hundreds of people aged under 30 do this, but there's only 6 people over 50 do it. That's why it's a lot easier for me to be the world champion than it is for the good-looking guy down the street.
But do you know what? I bet when you go into the competition, they have to say, "Right, we need your birth certificate," because you really don't look 60.
Oh, Damian, you say all the right things. You say absolutely all the right things. But maybe you can use me as a case study. And so how do you think my mindset was? So I think I just became determined and focused on changing my life, and that was a big point for me, and it's led me to realise I've got no regrets at all, apart from one. And that one regret was that it took me until I was 50 to realise that's what I wanted to do. I'd spent the past 30 years having what I thought was a great time, getting drunk and eating pizzas and eating McDonald's and so on all the time, and I thought I was having a great time, but in fact I wasn't. I've now had a much better time since I've decided to lose weight and, to use one of my catchphrases, I've got lots of catchphrases and slogans, but to down the fat and up the fit.
Nice.
So since I've decided to reduce my fatness levels and increase my fitness levels, I'm much happier. So can you overlay that with your thought processes?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of break it down for you, because what happens when we have a thought about anything, because to take action on anything we have to have a thought first. Okay, so what we do is we imagine, we take ourselves forward into a future. Right, so we say, oh, if I have that donut, it's full of sugar and fat, which are physiologically we're designed to kind of hoard.
Yes.
Yeah. So you stick us back on the African plains, and getting sugar was like a vital thing because it's obviously glucose and it's energy. Getting fat was a vital thing as well.
Man has not evolved that much from when we were the hunter-gatherers. So
it's not that long. Yeah.
On the evolutionary timescale, it's nothing when we had to go and kill our food. So we're desperately always looking to accumulate food and to store it.
So it's very easy to get lost in that trap and kind of think, oh yeah, that's, and also we're kind of taking ourselves forward. We can imagine a thought of something, and it can even make us salivate. So physiologically, we can respond to that. But we have this other thing that's kind of guiding us from moment to moment to moment, which is we call it insight, wisdom, and that's kind of that's the more useful part. That's the bit that when we listen to it and pay attention to it. It's actually kind of guiding us in the long run, I guess you could say. It's kind of there helping us, which is, the only thing that I'm thinking about now is the thought of food. That's giving me that feeling, but that's coming from my thinking.
Right.
So I want to give you a really good example of this. So when Victoria and I think Victoria's listening actually. Hi Victoria, hi Micah, hi Stella, hi Ellie, hi Wellington. When we went down to Plymouth, we were talking about this because I did the book tour. We were talking about this, and we were out on the streets. We did a book. We went to Waterstones and did a book signing, and I was talking to two former heroin addicts, and we talked about how our thinking creates our reality. It's coming from our thinking, not from the circumstances. And this one guy, he just got it so quickly. He said, "Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because when I woke up in the morning and I desperately needed some skag, and I would be sweating, I would be like palpitations." He said, "I would go to the local shop." Or a shop, and I would rob it. He said, but as soon as I had that money in my pocket, I felt better. Nothing to do with the heroin. Hadn't got any yet. It was the thought that he was going to get it.
Right.
So that's how our thinking operates in this kind of future past, future past, future past. I always ask the question of people, why can't you remember everything in your life? Why can't you remember all those little moments? And the answer is very simple. It's because you were never there.
Yeah.
We spend most of our time thinking about the past and thinking about the future that hasn't happened yet. And this pointing people into the mechanics of how their thinking operates brings people back into the present moment with no judgment, no concepts, no ideas about anything. It's very easy to do that when you're playing with your kids and you're actually present. No words need to be said. You just have that connection, because children have that. You know, children under 4, they've done MRI scans, and you know, they're basically in a state of meditation constantly. They're present, and when they cry, you know, they let it out.
Yeah.
But what we do is we kind of hold it in and we think about it and we cogitate, and so that's kind of what I'm pointing people. I'm pointing people to the mechanics of how the system works and how it operates, and that's really useful for people. You know, people.
So do you find that most people don't realise the power of the mind? Or
they don't even know thinking's involved.
Yeah, the power of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first bit. You know, people having that insight, going, "Oh my God, I didn't even realise thinking was involved in the process," because they think circumstances, feeling, right, it's coming from circumstances. They don't even get to see that thinking's involved. So Sid Banks, who kind of uncovered this and came up with the mechanics behind it, called it the missing link. You know, thought has to be in the equation. Has to be. I use the example in the book of congenital analgesia, which is people that have insensitivity to pain. You know, if they don't have the thought telling them they've got pain, it's not in their experience. So sufferers will put their hand in a pot of boiling water or boiling oil, and like their skin will melt off, and they'll be like, oh. So because they don't have the thought telling them that pain's involved, so it's not in their experience. And it's the same with us. You know, we can have thoughts about things that aren't true, and we can have no thoughts about things that are happening right now. We have to have the thought to have it in our experience. So it's coming from us. It's coming from the inside to the out, not the outside to the in. It's a kind of 180-degree flip in the way we see reality. It's huge. It's massive.
Absolutely. Fascinating stuff. And we'll post some music now, but I want to talk a lot more about this, because it is an area that is of great interest to me personally, and also I think fascinating for the listeners as well. But first, some music, and Coldplay and Clocks.
Brilliant. Hi guys, hi Dave, hi Philippe, how you doing? I'm going to go off now, so